we've got two of our favorites on the show, Jonah Javad, of course, WFAA Sports, and then let's just call him the OG. He's here. It's the one and only Clarence Hill. Chill, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm well, man. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Thanks for hopping on the show with us. And let's start and jump right into it, because the beginning of this Cowboys game felt like so many Cowboys games that we have been subjected to over the years. I can only think, here we go again. First 20 minutes of that game, Clarence, what were you thinking?
I mean, again, it was here we go again. It was like the Cowboys can't get right when it comes to big game and big performances against good teams. I mean, I tweeted the Cowboys are peeing down their leg. Can I say that on the show? But I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? You know, it's such a big game, such a big moment, and to go down 21-0 with a lot of self-inflicted wounds. In hindsight, we realized the running into the kicker really wasn't their fault because he touched the ball. That was a mistake by the officials who missed the fact that Ryan Flora actually touched the ball. That should not have been a penalty, and the Cowboys should have gotten the ball, which again helped fuel the Eagles' 21-0 run. But yeah, they couldn't get anything done right. The drop passes, the penalties, everything is like, here we go again. And all of a sudden, they flipped the script.
Yeah, it was like that bad Cowboys movie, Jonah, that we've seen time and time and time and time. And I could go on for about 5 minutes saying that time and time again. What'd you think?
I just thought, you know, the Giants home game from earlier this year was going to be hard to top in terms of entertainment value. That was just an absolutely bonkers game. But this one really might rival it in terms of the drama going down to the wire, the fact that it seemed like neither team really wanted to win the game in crunch time. They were just, you know, both sides were trying to lose it in some form or fashion, and yet the Cowboys were able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
I was going to say, you're so used to saying it the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Ahead,
especially with this team.
But with all due respect, Jonah, this is nothing like the Giants win. I mean, we knew the Giants were bad. The Eagles were 8-2, riding high, defending Super Bowl champions, everything that's on the line, big game. They need to win back-to-back wins. The drama, everything at stake, the Nealon situation, it's not even close to the Giants in terms of points and everything else. But what this game meant, what it meant for the team, what it meant for the season, what it meant, everything is just so much bigger than that.
Yeah, you know what's funny, though? At the end of the year, the wins are going to count the same, Chill. The win over the Eagles,
just like Shotty said, the Raiders are a good team. We all know you need to beat this victory is much better than beating the Raiders, okay? We know that.
Shador's saying they're a good team. But no, specifically, most importantly to me, the defense. Again, we were kind of poo-pooing them a little bit, and how many quarterbacks have had career games against this Cowboys defense all year. But they gave up their 21. They gave up a similar in week one where they basically let them score 21 right out the gate and then stoned them for the remainder of the game. It felt like the defense found their footing. And more importantly to me, like Chill's talking about how big of a game this was, Joe, it was the fact that they were causing turnovers, that they didn't. It was fumbles. It was creating their chances for their offense to get back on the field and put points on the board. I thought that was the most important part of the game from my perspective, was that the defense rose to the occasion.
Yeah, it's the Quinnen Williams effect, you guys. The Cowboys have gone from being this kind of, and I'll say it, they've gone from being a soft team to now they are a team that brings the absolute blow when it matters. And this team, I would argue with you that this is as physical as we have seen that team that late in a game in a long time. There were some knockout blows on both sides of the ball, and the Cowboys were delivering them. I mean, you notice some of those Philadelphia defenders start to just not be on the field anymore. And I just think there is this, and I do think part of it has to do with the loss of Marshawn Nealon and the play style that these Cowboys want to play with. But then when you get a guy like Quinnen Williams, and he absolutely gets Osa Odigizua going and Kenny Clark going, it can change how your team defines itself. And I feel like we saw that, because as that game wore on, there were people we don't expect to make plays, making big plays. Trent Sieg recovered a fumble. Elijah Clark with a play that was metaphorical for life, just getting knocked down and coming back up, showing resiliency. And then on the other fumble that was caused, Sam Williams and Kenneth Murray, I mean, you didn't have it on your bingo card, but they end up making big plays because I do think we are seeing a fundamental change in part of this team's identity, and it stems from Quinn Williams really showing the way.
Yeah, I mean, you add in when the Cowboys had their fumble. I mean, Cavante Turpin wasn't touched. I mean, the Turpin monster called the fumble. Okay, they were giving things away. The Cowboys took their turnovers. They made those things happen. That Sam Williams thing was he knocked the ball loose. The Elijah Clark play, that is teaching tape. Get knocked down twice, 3 times, get up and knock the hell out of the guy. And it was a game. Should have been a game-churning fumble recovery on that punt return. Of course, Cowboys didn't score on that drive, but it speaks to the momentum, the infectious nature of Quentin Williams and the physicality of the way the Cowboys play.
I think it's encouraging to see them play like that because that's the way they wanted to play coming into the year. Like I think back to that press conference with Shoddy to kind of open up training camp, and he's dropping all sorts of expletives and saying how physical they want to be. Well, we're finally kind of seeing that physicality that they've craved and wanted, and I think Quinnen Williams is part of it. DeMarvion Overshown is part of it. They're just getting some of their athletes and their better players on defense that are able to kind of rally to the ball faster, and it is encouraging to see that from a coach then trickle down to the players and actually make an impact in a game against a good football team.
Yeah, the bottom line is this team now understands and realizes they actually have a chance. I think with the way that defense played, they didn't think they had a chance in some of those games. Let's just be honest, and they played that way, but that's no longer the case, and now we get to see just how far they can go with it with the Chiefs up on Thursday. We'll talk about that coming up next, plus more on that offense. And goodness gracious, do we have to talk about my man, George Pickens, number 3 on a spree. We'll talk about it next on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
You know, Joe, the other thing that's kind of stuck out to my mind as I'm replaying the game in my head is how many opportunities the Cowboys had to put points on the board throughout that game. And it wasn't just the 3 drives or the 4 drives that they scored on, excuse me. You're talking first and goal situations. They were moving the ball pretty much at will against a really good defense, and one that's really shown up the last couple weeks here.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, Dak Prescott has really got it going. He showed his form again. He throws for 345 yards on this day. We saw him, hit a couple touchdown passes. The run was fantastic.
Yes.
Right? So that offense is doing what we now expect it to do, and that's Dak Prescott playing at a high level. And listen, George Pickens, with the way he is playing, 9 catches, 146 yards, and the touchdown. The way he is playing now gives you that playmaker that elevates any offense. And so let's put the question to Jonah first. How good do you think this offense can be now, whether it's CD or George Pickens leading the way?
I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, they literally have 2 number 1 receivers, like 2 alpha number 1 receivers. That's a little bit different than like the Raiders having their number 1 receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking alpha, top dog, just unbelievably talented players, and they've got 2 of them. There's no excuse for the Cowboys not to score at least 25 points a game from here on out. I really don't care like who they play. They can play the best defenses. They should be scoring at minimum 25 points a game. Really, they should be scoring 30 plus. The way things have been clicking, and now the attention that George is going to draw, you would think CD is going to have a lot more opportunity. Struggled again against the Eagles today. The drops have been the consistent issue for him, especially against Philly this season. But when both of them are playing at their top caliber and Dak Prescott's playing at his, which he clearly is, there's absolutely no reason why this team can't just put up 30 a game.
Chill, how would you describe the electric nature with which George Pickens plays?
I mean, Pickens is a menace. I mean, he's just a menace. He is a menace. He's a demon. He's a demon seed. He's all of that. He's goofy. He's crazy. he is all of that, and you love it. I don't care how many meetings he misses, how many times he's late for the bus. This guy he brings that attitude. They say, he's an edgy player. All that stuff. You got to keep him out of love, but he's a menace. I think that we're downplaying Dak Prescott. This was the finest win of Dak Prescott's career. I remember I talked about it in the press conference when Tony Romo talked about the 95 NFC Championship game was the most proud as he was because the way they came back from 21 down and made a game of, they lost that game. Dak Prescott, yes, the defense played a role in it, but they always had a chance because of that offense, because of Dak Prescott, who never gets phased, always poised, ready for the moment. For a guy that everybody told he has empty stats, he only beats up bad teams, he doesn't do it against good teams. He did it today. When they struggled early, it was because of the drops, because, his interception was caused by the false start. If they don't have the false start, they're first to go, you're not doing that, But Dak Prescott, to me, finest moment, you passed Tony Romo for passing yards in Cowboys. It's the most passing yards in Cowboys history. You passed Tony Romo for most comeback wins in Cowboys history, and you do it against this 8-2 Eagles team, defending Super Bowl champs, best record in the league. Finest moment of Dak's career. Yes, CD and Pickens are great, but Dak is the key to it all because the offensive line is still not that good. They still have issues up front. Dak makes it look easy.
No, I think it's a good point. Listen, that's his 19th straight win against NFC East foes. He just keeps proving that when he's at home, that is, he can handle this division, and that, could go a long way as his team tries to right the ship. And I do think Dak is playing his best ball of his career by far. I think anybody in that organization would agree with that statement. And it's good to see that the defense is actually giving them a chance now for them to cook. And I mean, it's what we said at the beginning of the year. Just give them an opportunity to see just how good they could be. And if it wasn't for the knee fumble from Turpin and, and the false start, like you said, and a couple of other just goofy plays, who knows how many points they would have put up against an Eagles defense that I think many in the league thought was one of the best, if not the best. So I think those points are really well taken. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, this is – as much as when we were kind of forecasting this stretch of the year, right? Again, the three games right now, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, we were almost penciling them in at best a 1-2. And granted, that could still be their record in about a couple weeks here. We don't know because there's going to be a lot of emotion coming up on Thanksgiving, I'm sure, with the Chiefs team that just beat Indy. But to see the way that they did this to the Eagles, as Chill keeps mentioning, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. They have coming up back-to-back wins against quality opponents. This is about as good as a performance as you could expect from a Cowboys team entering this stretch. And now that they're at 500 here, they have a real shot because of the tie. They have a shot of getting on the right side of some of these tiebreaker scenarios as things start entering into playoff discussion. And granted, they got to win a lot more over this stretch to put themselves in that discussion, but at least it seems more attainable now. Jonah.
It's just life in the NFL. Like 3 weeks ago, this 3-game stretch looked horrible. It just looked like, yeah, you're right, 1-2 probably at best. And then you watch the Chiefs today, and you're like, are they actually good? Like, I'm not sold. Then you watch the Lions struggle against Jameis Winston and the Giants. Like, are they legitimately good? So this is the NFL. Week to week, we overreact to everything, and maybe in a week from now, we'll all of our points will be flipped on their heads. But I think the stretch does not look nearly as daunting because of Quinnen Williams. He's 2-0 in a Cowboys uniform. And that pressure that they bring with Quinnen, Kenny Clark, and Osa up the middle is just awful for quarterbacks because it's right in their face, as opposed to edge rushers where QBs can step up and kind of maneuver the pocket. When it's in their face and fast, it is really hard for a lot of quarterbacks to make proper decisions. And so he has been an unbelievable X factor in all of this for the Cowboys, for their defense. And I give them as good a shot against the Chiefs and the Lions moving forward because he is that much of an impact player.
I think it's a great point, Jonah, because, listen, 3 weeks ago, I don't know if I would have given the Cowboys a shot to go 1-2. I would have said, listen, they're going to lose all 3 of these games, and they're in trouble for the rest of the season. But now, you're right. It's the NFL, man. And the Chiefs, they haven't looked this beatable, you guys, in 5 or 6 years?
Pre-Mahomes.
Pre-Mahomes. So it's all different.